Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Farmer Safety Corner, where we're focusing on fatigue today. So, I can just imagine mid September, harvest is going on. We're in the midst of an election, and COVID-19 cases are on the rise. So, what is your fatigue level? How are you handling this? Because, as you may or may not know, fatigue may not just be as a result of not getting enough hours of sleep, but it could be a result of maybe some underlying medical conditions or all these stressors that are on you at this point in time, especially during this time of year. So I wanted to go over some of the tools and resources we have available that kind of describe fatigue and just kind of where you can go with this and how you can help yourself to hopefully improve your personal condition or give some tools and resources to your workers to help improve their personal conditions as well. So first thing I have here on the screen is, of course, our Farm Safety Nova Scotia website. This is where all of our tools and resources are housed and are free to use for anyone who visits this site. So first of all, we're going to take a look at Mind the Gap Farm, because one of those farms, the acronym is Fatigue at Risk Management. So I'm going to give you some details there, a little bit of background, and how you can get a hold of these resources. So just as it says, resources. So you're going to click there. And then, of course, scroll to the icons, and I love pictures. It's just much easier to find things. Fatigue is under additional supports. So we're going to click there. And then we're going to hunt for that turtle. And there he is. And here is Mind the Gap Farm. So Mind the Gap is a type of communication tool where you can communicate to your workers health and safety, both physical and mental aspects of health and safety, as a better method than having an aggressive approach or not even knowing at all how to communicate safety in any particular way. Maybe it's something you haven't done before. So it's kind of cool here. It says, have you ever wondered why workers do things, even though you've spent hours and hours and hours of training them, but they still go ahead and do that one thing or make that mistake? And you just don't understand. And a lot of that has to deal with fatigue. And this is why part of our communication tool is fatigue at risk management. The other two are focus approach right method, which comes into having a written farm safety plan and best practices that workers can follow and refer back to. And then, of course, first always right minded, which is helping improve that safety culture and creating a positive safety culture. And this is why we have Mind the Gap, good analytical practice, so that you have this tool now to communicate safety. So you can approach somebody and say, hey, Mind the Gap, did you consider that maybe we should be getting 8 hours of sleep instead of being up all night playing video games? So you can say that to your workers. So let's look more closely at fatigue at risk management. We've seen the reason why today that you may be at risk for fatigue. So let's see what we can do and what we have available to help manage it. Most of us know how to recognize it, but there are some things on this list that you may not recognize. It may be a part of your habit, especially if you've been farming for many, many years, and this is how you are. So looking at continuously yawning, nodding off, head bobbing. Do you take that mini nap at lunch? If you do, that is fantastic. Continuous eye rubbing, inability to concentrate on tasks. Do you have difficulty focusing, especially after a long day? You have to get back to the office component of farming and looking at the books and things like that. Are you able to actually focus on that, or do you find your mind is kind of wandering? Forgetting to relay the message or communicate regularly, so keeping everything to yourself. You just can't anticipate hazards. You just don't have the energy to put forethought into what you're doing. So you just do one thing at a time, and you're just getting by doing that one thing at a time. You're also at increased risk for incident injuries on the farm and making errors or having poor quality work. You might become quiet and withdrawn, lack energy. Like, are you motivated, or do you feel you're just getting through? So this is a great little document to share with your workers and other people on the farm to help recognize fatigue. So then we carry into, oh, sorry, one too many. quality sleep can make all the difference. So if this truly is not getting enough hours of sleep or quality of sleep, some people may have difficulty just shutting the mind off to be able to get into that deep sleep. So that is key. How do we allow that to happen? And this document here gives you some hints and tips on how to allow that to happen, how to relax, and how to get into that bedtime routine so you do get a better quality of sleep. Then we also have the full fatigue at risk management system. So here it just goes through a little bit of information of why we would want to put something in place. So for instance, fatigue, according to the American College of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, their guide, it's the body's responsibility, the body's response to sleep loss or prolonged physical and mental exertion. And as right now, like I mentioned, COVID-19, the election, organizing harvest, like there's a lot there to create that type of fatigue. So just reading through some additional information of why to implement that fatigue at risk management system and a little bit of reference material going back to the American College of Occupational and Environmental Medicine guide. So that's all the information is right there, just to plug into Google and bring it up. We also have, and I'm going to come back to the fatigue incident report, but the fatigue calculator. This is an excellent tool. So the first page is just giving you guidance on how to complete the tool. So I'm just going to scroll right to the tool. And again, these are all documents you can download and use as your own. So it calculates if you're getting enough sleep. So it goes through the worker's recent sleep history. So within 24 hours, 48 hours, and then having that final number. And then calculate the fatigue likelihood score. So what is your likelihood to be fatigued? And once you have that final score, here's your interpretation of it. So anything from a 0 to a 4, you could get to the point where maybe you're not showing any signs of fatigue at certain parts of the day, but later in the day, you may have poor concentration while doing some complex tasks. But if you look at 11, this is trouble staying awake and unable to focus at all on any task. So that is quite concerning, especially if you have workers who are working around the clock, trying to bring the hay in, silage, corn, whatever it be. Like, there could be those extensive hours that maybe they aren't getting enough sleep. So how do we create those breaks? And what do we do if we're experiencing any of these levels of fatigue? So, and at the bottom of this calculator, even though there's instructions at the top, at the bottom, it kind of gives you an example of going through those instructions as well to get your final number. So, and of course, to the far right of the table, once you have your score and you interpret it, it gives you a recommendation on maybe what you should do to reduce the risk of the fatigue to the point where 11 says you need to stop work and get some sleep. Great tool just to see if sleep hours is something that you're lacking versus the mental stressors, or maybe even any underlying medical condition. So if this shows that you're getting lots of sleep, you should be in good condition. Those are the other avenues to explore. So let's look at the fatigue incident report form. So this is a great tool. Again, a little information and a guide to show you how to complete this report. So just scrolling to the 2-page report. This is a great way to note your incident injuries on farm, but also incorporate fatigue as part of those underlying causes. So this report actually will collect information on the amount of sleep. Was the person fatigued before work? How much sleep did they have in the last 24 and 72 hours? This could be even during calving and lambing season. Always going out into the barn at all hours of the night, just checking, just to make sure all is okay and there's no issues. So that is a lot of sleep disruption as well. And then we also collect and we go in here. Were you fatigued before starting work? How long were you awake before you started feeling tired? Activity performed when first feeling tired? Any actions you took to fight the fatigue? And then were you experiencing any stress? So that maybe it's not at this point lack of hours of sleep, but it could be lack of quality of sleep in that case then, but it also could be stress that you are undergoing at this point in time. So a great tool to use to start tracking your incidents and seeing if fatigue is an underlying factor and if changes on the farm need to be made to improve those conditions. So with all that put together, we can build a fatigue risk management policy. So policies are not something to look at as being cumbersome and overshadowing of the work, but this is more so commitment. So putting your commitment to preventing fatigue at the workplace on paper so that you can consistently share this commitment to the workplace. So if you deliver this type of information during your safety orientation at the beginning of the season, so if you're hiring a bunch of workers all at once or at any point in time you're bringing workers on board on the farm, you can use this consistent message to communicate to your workers what your expectation for managing fatigue is. So it goes through the purpose, the definitions. So what do we consider fatigue, restorative sleep, and sleep cycles? The full policy, which is being your commitment, and what are the responsibilities of the farm owners, farm management, and the workers working on the farm. And so again, a tool you can use to adapt, definitely not mandatory, but if you're seeing this as something that is a concern on farm, something to use and build into your current farm safety plan. Any questions on fatigue at risk management program? And we can, if you think of it later, just save it for the end and we will incorporate that at the Q&A at the very end of the presentation. So let's move on to what we have available besides the fatigue at risk management program. We also have some recorded webinars that kind of goes through this particular program and going through that fatigue calculator on our Farm Safety Nova Scotia YouTube. So we have a YouTube channel, and all you have to do is type, you can take this link and copy it and paste it into your own browser. Again, this is recorded and will be housed here on this YouTube channel under Farmer Safety Corner. But also we have here a webinar that we presented to both Manitoba and here in Nova Scotia in cultivating your way to burnout. So like, as I mentioned, this is going through the fatigue at risk management program, but it also gives some more in-depth insight and comparison to even influence of alcohol and fatigue. So showing the two types of impairment and how it can affect your work quality, but also the risk for incident injury. And so this is a 58-minute presentation. It's a bit interactive. There's some polling. Of course, it's done already, but you can follow through and just kind of see where you sit. And the good news is you can download those resources I just showed you on the Fatigue at Risk Management program here, including the calculator. And then when you go and watch Cultivating Your Way to Burnout, you can follow along with those resources, particularly the calculator, so you can get your own score and see how we interpret it in the YouTube video. And it's interesting, in this video, we did discover those who were present had lots of sleep. They had a good number of hours of sleep that are required, but we discovered stress and quality of sleep were the underlying factors there. So very, very interesting information. So if we go back to our resources page and we click this at the top, but we go to, instead of additional supports to find Mind the Gap Farm from Farm, we also have a section called Farmer Safety Rally. So this is an additional resource that you can use to hold safety meetings on farm. So here we have different topics: animal handling, chemical safety, emergency response plan, farm safety plan, and here is Mind the Gap, which includes fatigue at risk management, general health. So here under general health, we have fatigue. So what this is, and I'm just going to open it for you, it downloads into a Word document. I'm just going to just download it. It's just going to open now here. Let me just bring it over, make it a little bit bigger. Whoop, that's too big. Here we go. So the Farmer Safety Rallies are 2 pages in length. The first page is always the information that is to be delivered to your work group on who you want to meet with and discuss this particular topic. The second page is how you're going to record the meeting and the information you're going to collect from the meeting. So here under agenda, we have things that you could do as part of that meeting. So for instance, share sleep habits, especially for the busiest time of year, such as planting and harvest. Harvest is where we're at now. Discuss other conditions that may cause fatigue besides lack of sleep, which we've talked about, the mental stress and the poor quality of sleep. In the Cultivating Your Way to Burnout webinar, we even talk about nutrition and how nutrition plays an important role on your levels of fatigue. And then also referring you back to the Mind the Gap infographic. And then we prompt some discussion with these questions, even to the point of some near misses. We go through test your knowledge, so some quizzes. You can have one of these printed out for each worker, double-sided if you want, and you can have them complete their own quiz, or you can do this as a group. And then there's the opportunity to see who attended and acknowledge who was given this particular information and keep that on file. So Pharmacy Rally, again, very good resource to be able to deliver little bits of information in fatigue prevention. Also, just let me close this out. If we go back and say you cannot remember, you're sitting in front of your computer, you got the Pharmacy Nova Scotia webpage open, and you go, where did Lori say these resources were housed? And you can't remember. All you have to do is click the search, type in fatigue, and up will pop a page, and you will see whatever we have in relation to fatigue being listed here. One of the things we haven't even mentioned yet is part of our Maintaining Mental Fitness Series 2 coverage. We have posts in relation to fatigue, and this particular topic, because fatigue can come in many faces, is compassion fatigue. So tips for dealing with emotional exhaustion when you're trying to help others. So how do you care for yourself while you're helping others in this particular situation? We talked about Farmer Safety Corner, which is happening right now. And then, of course, fighting against COVID-19 fatigue. So we even have Zoom fatigue. So this may be something you haven't practiced before, but maybe in the last year and a half, you've been using Zoom a lot to be able to communicate because we just can't have those in-person meetings anymore. So you might be suffering from Zoom fatigue. So that could be an article that you might want to touch on to see what it says there. And then a particular article, fatigue on the farm, quality sleep, the importance of it and how it affects your life. Very good information there. Then it goes through that fatigue at risk management program. And then in particular, Mind the Gap as part of that. And then of course, episode 6 of our Maintaining Mental Fitness is benefits of monitoring positive and negative daily changes. And that could be in relation to our battery charge. So Dr. Howitt from Howitt HR, who guides us through the Maintaining Mental Fitness Series 2 and provides these micro skills to help us cope with the day-to-day, including this fatigue. He mentions that we're all like batteries and that at any point in time, we can be fully charged to completely depleted. So he says we have to make sure we're at some level to charge those batteries. So he mentions fatigue can affect our battery charge as well. So that is a great summary of a webinar, and there's a link to the full webinar series on this particular post that you can go in and take a look at. I'm just scrolling through. So as you get to the further down the list on the pages on the website for fatigue, it just gets further away from that topic. So typically the first page gives you the most, but feel free to scroll through the other pages just to see what else may be available in certain topics you want to review. So just talking about Maintaining Mental Fitness Series 2, that has a lot to deal with your mental health. And as you know, fatigue can kind of be way heavy on how you are feeling and how tired you may feel, but also how you can actually cope and function throughout the day. So we have also mental health resources through our We Talk We Grow website. And this is, of course, wetalkwegrow.ca. And I'm in the section resources and training. So in here are many, many different resources that we have available for you to use, download. don't forget to call us for your mental health kit. Inside the kit, because we talked about quality of sleep, are earplugs. So maybe there's a lot of noise going on in the house. Maybe you still hear barn noises out in the yard. Maybe there's a lot of traffic that you hear because the farmhouse is close to the road and everything else is further back. So inside that is earplugs. But if it's stress related, we have a stress tractor. So you can squeeze the tractor. We also have notebooks so that to help you de-stress, maybe start writing out your thoughts and ideas and how you want to maybe make some change. So lots of tools available in that mental health kit. And feel free to reach out to me at info@farmsafetyns.ca or lbrookhouse@nsfa-fane.ca to grab one of your kits, or just call the main office and 902-893-2293 to request that kit. We send them out, they're free, and they're an excellent resource. We've had a lot of kits go out this year and great feedback on them. So kind of looking at other resources we have available, they're in 3 different categories, as you can see here. So we have prevention, protection, and engagement. So prevention resources are those who are looking to prevent their current mental health status from becoming worse, or to be able to maintain what they have. So it's just maintaining and being able to continuously evolve your own resources, your micro skills, to be able to balance your mental health stresses or any of those challenges. Protection is a higher level of stress, knowing that you need to reach out, you need to start getting some help and looking at those types of resources. You're really being affected, and fatigue could be a big part of that. And then lastly is engagement. So you're at high risk for developing a mental illness or an addiction and moving towards that loss of function. So these resources are more leaning towards the actual resource to go get help and act now. So let's look at prevention. Say we're in this particular category here. I'm going to scroll down. I just want to show you what we have available. We have, for a communication tool to your work group, the We Talk, We Grow poster. And then, of course, we have a RAC card and the breathing card. The breathing card also comes in our mental health kit. So that is one tool that is there, but you can also request those separate of the mental health kit or download it right here on the website. It's just a simple method just to regroup and move on for the day in particular. Also, we have reference to our Farm Family Support Center. So this is 3 hours free for a member assistance program for any of our membership. So anybody who's a member of the NSFA can access this, and they're available 24/7, 365. So throughout the year, we have resources available in Spanish and English. So when you click each link, this link, of course, will lead you to the same information, but just in Spanish, so those users can easily understand what's being provided. And then, of course, the English version. Maintaining mental fitness posts. This isn't the current series 2, but this is what was offered last year, and tips for coping with the COVID-19 pandemic. So these were micro skills that you could use. 8 domains of well-being, again, just different resources that may help you to better cope with your fatigue and how it's affecting your mental health. And if you just scroll down, so many resources. There's even an app for that. Calm is a really good one because this one really helps with mental fitness, relaxation, and sleep. So again, just a click away to download, and you can add it to your smartphone or your iPad as well. It doesn't have to be on the computer. Great tools and resources, even going through your breathing exercises. So if you've downloaded the card but you want to do something more, Calm is a great app to even track your breathing exercises and seeing if you are gaining that opportunity to relax throughout the day, even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes. I'm currently doing a self-care challenge, which requires us 10 to 15 minutes a day to do at least one thing. So whether it is breathing, in this particular case, taking 3 to 5 minutes to breathe throughout the day, I've discovered I'm failing miserably at this. So I need to be able to incorporate more of these tools and resources to reduce my stress levels, and then probably reduce my fatigue as well. So different apps there that you can explore. And then, of course, some recorded webinars. Just reach out for that particular recorded webinar. There's a link. And then we have psychological first aid online training, mental health first aid online training. We have mental health first aid coming up in December, January, and February. Just check out our calendar for those particular dates. And you can find the events calendar on the Farm Safety page right here at the top under events. Just go there. And of course, we have links to Center for Suicide Prevention as well as part of the maintaining mental health and how to recognize that in perhaps others. And we'll have more in the know training coming up here in a little bit. So just with the last few minutes here, I'm just wondering if anybody has any questions, comments, anything they want to share. You can enter your questions or comments in the chat or in the Q&A, and I will take a look at them. Okay, just one coming in here. Going to the events, when are we housing or holding the mental health first aid? So yes, this does not show the calendar right here. So you click calendar, or sorry, events calendar. And I mentioned that our first one starts in December. So you can just quickly go to that particular calendar and click December. And this is all online registration. And so you can see December 8th and 9th, we have a bubble here that says virtual mental health first aid. You click that and it'll open up a new window giving you a description of what it is, when it's being held. And so this is virtual. There's 2 hours that you do independently in online modules before December 7th. And then on December 7th, you're just in class for 3 hours in the morning from 9 to 12. And again, December 8th, just from 9 to 12. And then it's completely interactive. You go into break rooms. This is through Allison Butler Consulting out of Newfoundland, and she is the most wonderful instructor for this particular topic. She's energetic and she knows the material well, and she is really good at answering any of the difficult questions on, especially having that conversation when it deals with people's mental health and how to even start it. So great resources there. So you could do the same thing in events calendar when you're looking for your January session. Just go into 2022, can't believe it's 2022, and hit January. And there it is again, same process. And of course, the registration link is right here. Excellent. Let me just check to see if we have any other questions here. All right. Now, the next question we have, is it mandatory to have a fatigue at risk management program? So that is a yes and no question. If you find that you have a lot of incidents on farm that involve fatigue, that is a hazard that you would want to mitigate to be able to prevent that from happening. And under the Occupational Health and Safety Act here in Nova Scotia, we need to ensure the safety of workers at or near the workplace. So with that, if we've discovered fatigue being that hazard and the underlying cause for many of these issues, then yes, we should incorporate a fatigue at risk management program and change how we do things to prevent those types of incidents from happening. So you can use this program in particular to get started. Even if you just want to start with a policy, like I said, you can download this and adapt it as your own, and just put your farm name on it and change what you need to suit your particular farm conditions. You can start there and then slowly incorporate. Maybe we should look at a fatigue calendar. Should we change our shifts? Should we have split shifts, especially if we're getting into long days, but we don't really do much around from 11 to 3, say. Maybe we work from 9 to 11, and then we work from 3 to 8. Will that work for some people's schedules? So there's different things that we can consider when trying to prevent fatigue, whether it be not getting enough hours of sleep or if it's stress related and could be underlying physical conditions. So encouraging workers to get their regular checkups. All right, for the interest of time, I have 12:01. I promised you only 30 minutes of your time. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to info@farmsafetyns.ca or give me a call, 902-893-2293. Be happy to go through these resources with you. If you want to check out the recording of the webinar, just go to our YouTube channel with Farmer Safety Corner and it will be in our playlist. So it'll be along here at the beginning of October because we do this topic again next week.
Hello, everyone,
next Wednesday,
and welcome to Farmer Safety Corner.
June is posting those at the beginning of October. So there's always 2 sessions and they always work out to be very different. So I want to thank you for attending today's Farmer Safety Corner with the topic of fatigue, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.